go out and rake the little pivot. Yesterday, Sam got up at 3 and came out and raked the big pivot, and then did his regular job, and then came out and baled most of the big pivot until about 11:30 last night. So it was a really long day for him, and I guess I'm not quite up to that level of farmer yet. I don't get up at 3 in the morning and do just about anything, but I got up at 5:30 and I'm out here at 6. So yeah, he wanted to rake yesterday when there was dew to help keep the leaves from falling off the alfalfa stems when he raked, and then also you do that when you bale. I don't remember doing that last year, but every year's a little bit different. You try new things and try to learn from stuff. So the wind has been blowing, not super bad like it can get out here, but it has been blowing. So apparently when the wind blows, there's no dew, which makes sense. So I guess today I'm raking even though there's no dew, so there wasn't as big of an emergency to get up early and try to do that. So like I said, it's a little after 6. We'll see how long it takes to rake the little pivot. I think it's both cool and kind of funny that Sam's like, okay, see ya, and just sent me out here. So the tractor has lights. I don't know if I'm gonna need them, but I might turn them on just for fun. And I said, I don't know how to turn the lights on. He said, well, you just flip 3 switches. I was like, I don't even know where the switches are, but those are the only 3 switches in here. They're the only switches in here, and they have the light symbols, so I'm pretty sure those are the lights. And then something with this makes the rake go. So I can't remember if it's raise or lower, but I will figure it out. So you've seen raking, so I won't probably bore you with that again unless something cool happens. But yeah, so here we go. Wish me luck. So I don't know if you can see, and maybe that's the point a little bit, but typically there's big windrows that you drive between so you can see where you're going. Right here, the hay's pretty thin and spotty. I don't really know if I'm in my windrow or not, so I'm just hoping that I'm driving in a straight line and ending up where I'm supposed to be. Oh, I think you can just right up there, you can just start to see where they kind of appear again. So I wasn't too far off, but yeah, sometimes when there's nothing to rake, it's hard to tell where you're going. I'm sure I've said before, I love each of the parts of this process. So when we are out mowing and the alfalfa is really tall and it's just that bright green, and the header just pushes it down, and then you end up with the windrows like this, and when they're first fresh cut and they're all bright green and everything, and it's just so, I don't know, just so symmetrical, and they just, the spacing between them and the dark and the light contrast, and I just think it's really pretty. And then after a couple of days, a week-ish, it starts to dry and it kind of turns this lighter green. And I have to say, not only are they annoying, but I am like personally offended now every time I see a gopher mound. It's like it's mocking me or something. I have not poisoned up here yet. I did the outer rim the other day, so down along the pond and the swamp bottoms. And I did notice this morning there's a fresh badger hole out there, so we're definitely going to need to get out here and do something about the badger, because he's not doing anything about the gophers, and just making giant holes in the field. So yeah, when I'm out here and I see a gopher mound, as much as I possibly can without messing up the road that I'm trying to rake, I try to purposely either rake it or drive over it. And yeah, I'm gonna, once we get this all, well, depending on when it gets baled, and then stacked. I am definitely going to spend a lot more time out here on the little pivot. I spent quite a bit of time on the lower part of the big pivot and the back side of the big pivot up by the road. But I haven't really been out here on the little pivot very much. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot, but the ones that there are, I want to get rid of. So I'm in first gear, so I should be able to turn around without any problems. Turning is always a little scary for me because I don't want to hit anything. But there's no pivot wheels right here, so that should help. I'm really good at either turning too soon or too late. But anyway, it looks like this isn't going to be a problem at all. So, as I was saying, each part of the process, so the mowing I think is awesome, and then now that the hay's kind of dried a little bit and it's just not that pretty green anymore, it just kind of looks like kind of dried out deadish grass, which is probably kind of what it is. Then I get to come rake and I get to turn it into these big fluffy green windrows. And then when Sam bales it, they turn into these beautiful bright green rectangles that just dot the field. It's like something bad happened right there. So I don't know if you can rebale that or what for sure. I just wanted to share my thoughts as I was out here driving around, that each part of the process is just so pretty and satisfying and rewarding, and I don't know what the right word is, but all of those things. I just love being out here and getting to do this and goof around. And yeah, I'm about to lose my windrow again, so hopefully I'll just stay on this path. And I don't know if I've ever said, when we mow, the way that everything works out, there are, sorry, it's really bouncy right here. There are 5 windrows in every wheel track. So we rake 2 sets of 2 together, and then we have an odd man. So this one over here is going to be our odd man. So then we try to rake him into the one that I'm making right now. And it doesn't always work perfectly, so some of it kind of gets left out a little bit, but for the most part it does pretty good. And I don't know if this is the first time I did the bottom down here, but it's weird because along the edge the windrow will just disappear, and then over here where it opens back up again, it'll just start up again. So there's a lot of places where the row that I was following started and stopped, or I was following a row and then a different one appeared. So I hope I didn't make too big of a mess for Sam. What I probably should have done, instead of trying to make a continuous circle, is I probably should have just turned around at the bottoms. But it'll be fine. And I know that there's a section for sure that I'm going to have to come out with a pitchfork and just pitchfork into a wheel track, because it raked and there's no way to put it into a windrow now. So, yeah, so that is what it is. I don't know if you can see the water in the pond. Gosh, it's bouncy right here. There's water in the pond, and it looks pretty full. Hopefully, we will be able to get all of this hay up off the field and get the irrigation turned back on, so we can get it watering so it'll start growing for the third cutting. We shut the water off on Thursday morning last week. It is Thursday morning of this week, so 1 week to let the field dry a little bit, get it cut, raked, partially baled. And like I said, I don't know if Sam's going to come bale this tonight or if he's going to wait till tomorrow. I will let you know when I know. And then we'll see what our total bale count is and what our second cutting haystack looks like, because it will definitely be smaller than the first cutting. I just don't know by how much. Also, there's really no way to tell other than it's probably a little bit louder in here than it was previously, but I just flipped the AC on and it is cooling the cab nicely. So thank you, Sam, for that. So I've got new AC. I've got a new joystick that I haven't gotten to use yet, but I'm super excited to test that out when I stack bales and load the trailer. So this might be the fanciest tractor we have with all its new parts and accessories that are actually working the way they're supposed to. So thank you, Sam. So it's been a pretty busy and productive little over a week. Sam got up this morning, finished baling everything. I went out on the little red tractor and helped stack. And then we went out and picked everything up, and he is stacking it right here. We do have some first cutting bales still here. Hopefully those will sell quickly. And now we've got, I think he said 83 bales from the second cutting, so quite a few less. But it had only been about 3.5 weeks or so since the first cutting, and because of some different things with the first cutting, because it was so thick and it took so long to dry, the water was off a lot longer, so I don't know if we got as much growth as we maybe could have. I know in some places it was just insanely tall, but in other places there was hardly anything at all. I showed you when I was raking that you kind of lose the windrow because there's just nothing on the ground there. So those two are wet, and I believe there were also 2 more that we put in the stack for our customer who comes and gets our wetter than we would like hay. But otherwise, actually, I don't think those are wet. I think they're just, one of them was probably the bale that was still in the baler from the last time. And I don't know if the other one's just mostly grass and yuck from the edges, but I think this is a beautiful haystack. I like that a lot, and I hope you do too. So thank you for following along, and thank you for watching.